Welcome to Fearless and Unfiltered. Real talk, real challenges, and real wisdom from two badass BFFs that aren't afraid to say it like it is.
We're here to share stories that inspire, lessons that empower, and a whole lot of laughs along the way.
Get ready to get fearless
Get unfiltered.
and get real with Carrie and Vicki.
Hey, badasses. Welcome back to the Fearless and Unfiltered podcast. We are so grateful to have you join us today. We have a really great episode in store for you.
Fire people up today for sure.
Let's go. So today's message is simple, but it's really powerful. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start.
So true. So true. I like that what you said, Mel Robbins, she gave you the 5-second rule, and that was the motivation to get up and go do something.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you think of something and you don't do it within 5 seconds, you're not going to do it anyway. So follow the 5-second rule from Mel Robbins, count down, and then get your ass off the couch, off the chair, whatever it is. Get out and go do what it is you want to do.
And we're talking to you, those people out there listening for sure. The people are saying, I'll start it next month, or maybe in about 4 weeks when I have time on my calendar, or whenever I got it all figured out, Carrie. But, perfection, the only person that's perfect is Jesus, basically. So perfect is a myth at this stage of the game. So, ready is actually the feeling. So you got to create that and get yourself moving and go. Like you said, get off the couch.
Yeah, go do it. So don't wait for the right timing or when you have enough money, more money, a better plan, more confidence. If you have something that you want to do, it's like through your soul is like, listen, I really want to do this. And then your brain is like, not today, or I'm not ready yet, or it's not perfect yet, but you're letting that hold you back. And the truth is, you actually gain the confidence after you take the action, not before.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly, because it's the feeling once you actually have succeeded in doing whatever the mission was, you're like, why didn't I start that earlier?
Right.
And actually, you told me a long time ago that you grow when you get out of your comfort zone, but you can't grow unless you get out of your comfort zone. So you got to understand you're not going to be comfortable through all of the moves that you make in your life, but that's a good thing. So when you feel that feeling, you should actually take yourself up on it, because it actually allows you to grow.
Yeah. So audience, listeners, our badass people that we love, thank you for tuning in. So what is something that you have been delaying? Maybe you've been putting it off, you're not ready, you're being too picky. What is that? Drop it in the comments and let us know, because maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to start a podcast.
Yep. Maybe you want to start a business, a side hustle.
Maybe you want to get your real estate license.
Maybe you want to move to the beach.
Yeah, move to a new city. Get the hell out of Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Name that right now. So name it. Put that in the comments. Let's hear what your thoughts are. What is that? We talked about dreams, in a recent episode, but this is one of those things that now that you got the dream, what do you do with it? And the point is you really need to just get moving, get going, the little baby steps, taking action. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah. So how many of you get into that analysis paralysis, right? Where you're like, oh, I really want to do this. And then when you start thinking about it, then you're over analyzing and you're dwelling. And then you're like, what if this and what if that? And then you just don't do it. And so then 3 years later, you're sitting there saying, dang, I wish I would have wrote that book. Or, oh, I really wish we would have started that podcast.
Well, what's funny is I have an idea folder in my file cabinet, and there's so many ideas that I have thought of throughout the decades, because I am at that age. And it's just so frustrating. Like whenever you turn on the TV and holy cow, there's a new product out there that you thought of 10 years ago. I know you've got one of these for the restaurant industry. So,
oh my God.
But that happens a lot. And I think what you need to do is when you do have that idea, you do need to take action on it. And it could be, it doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I'm moving to a new city, or I'm starting a new career, or whatever it is. It's as easy as, I want to redo my bedroom, and instead of you just laying there for 3 years thinking about what you want to do with it, why don't you go take a field trip to Home Depot or something?
Yeah. It's so interesting because Vicki and I have been talking about doing a podcast for like 10 years. I mean, we have had videos of ourselves in the car. We had an idea about doing a mobile podcast, a car cam.
Yes.
we had a lot of ideas, and then finally we just said one day,
Let's do
actually we were at the bar drinking a beer, drawing on napkins, our podcast episode idea, and then we actually set a date.
Yes.
So here's step one. If you want to do something,
Okay.
follow the 5-second rule, but if you don't do that, at least put it in your calendar, set a date. So we said by April 1st, we would go live with our podcast.
Yep.
And our podcast actually went live May 5th.
Okay. We're in the zone.
We're in the zone.
It didn't have to be perfect.
It did not have to be perfect. We just started. And the quality of your questions
Determines the quality of your results.
Amen, Sister Susan. This is Susie Sunshine, by the way, if you guys don't know. She's also a meteorologist and full of amazing wisdom.
Well, it's funny because I did radio for 16 years back in the day in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Shout out to all you people there. And it was great. It was fun. It was like very energetic. It brought life to you. It was amazing just to get to talk to different people in your community, around the world, around the country, about all different kinds of subjects. So it was great, and I love doing it. And then when you stop doing it after 16 years, you're like, man, I really kind of want to do that again.
Right.
Well, then podcasts became really cool and hip to do, and that's where people were actually getting more of their information at than just regular radio stations. So I am so glad that I am so happy and grateful that we thought about that we were sitting at the bar drinking a really nice cold one, and that we had some really great conversations behind that. But that really is how it starts. You have an idea, you think it through, and there's logic to it, and you move forward. So like you're saying, take that baby step, put it in your calendar.
And the universe doesn't give you an idea that you're not worthy of bringing to fruition.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a couple examples of this, because back in the day, the universe gave me this amazing idea when I was a waitress at Danny's restaurant in Sharpsville, Pennsylvania.
Shout out.
So this was before, I think, iPhones existed.
True.
This is before an Apple Watch and all of that. And I said, oh my gosh, what if, you know, as a customer, you come into a restaurant, you could sit down and there's like a little iPad. Back then, iPads weren't even available. But what if there was like a little something like a computer that could be in the table that you could place your drink order, or when they deliver your food, you can request ketchup or a refill because you know you're out there and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish the waitress would come back.
I need some more tea.
What if the waitress had an Apple Watch that could just ding her and say, table 5 needs a refill of their Coke?
Nice.
The other idea, okay, so then
that now exists actually.
that now exists at
like Applebee's, Chili's, they
Olive Garden. They have a little thingy that you can place your order, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had that idea. The other idea I had, Instacart. Before Instacart existed, I was like, I'm gonna literally go buy a van and hire somebody and deliver people's groceries and set this on a subscription basis. But guess what, you guys? I didn't take action on either of those ideas. So someone else got to become a millionaire off of that idea, because what did they do?
They took the action.
They took the action.
Yeah, and one of the keys, like Carrie used to say, is I'm going to put it in my calendar, and I'm not going to cancel on my calendar. It's kind of like it's your accountability partner. So if you don't think that you've got an accountability partner, you do. It's your calendar.
Ooh, good one.
You know?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of people sometimes that don't have BFFs like us.
Amen. So you guys listening, what's one action that you could take this week? Even if it's messy, even if, you know, it's not perfect, even if you don't have it all put together. What is one action step that you could take this week that's gonna at least take that idea and bring it into form in some fashion?
Yeah. My recommendation is get one of those big, huge, what do you call those things? The big Post-its?
Dry erase?
Yes. Like some sort of a board so that you can see it in big form. And then just let your mind have a brainstorming session. And what are all the things that are needed in order to make this happen? And then you don't have to worry about it because it's not like someone's recording it or someone's going to steal that idea. It's in the comfort of your own home or your back patio or wherever you do this at.
Yeah.
But it helps your mind start thinking through the motions. What am I going to need? What is it going to be called? What do you want it to look at like? There's lots of things.
Yeah. And if you just have an idea list, this is what I learned through Mary Morrissey, my mentor and my training, is that once you brainstorm, then go back through the list and identify what brings electricity for you. Like what action step just makes you feel expansive and like it makes your soul sing.
Right.
Because you're meant to be your soul is meant to be singing. And if you have an idea there, again, that's the universe tapping you on the shoulder saying, here you go, make this happen. But if you allow your egoic mindset, the fear, the doubt, the worry to hold you back, then you're just going to stay stuck where you are, feeling the way that you feel. And we want to feel expansive, don't we, Vicki?
We want to be really expansive. It is very true. But, you have a comment or you have a fact that's in your brain. That girl, she's like a file cabinet over here. You just got to give her a little point and she's got it. But we have like 600 and something thousand thoughts a day. And
60,000.
60,000 thoughts a day. Some of them are not true. And the majority of them are either from the past or negative.
You got it. She's a good learner.
So, you got to get out of your own head in a sense, and you got to allow yourself. And I will tell you, we talked about this recently about when you're feeling stuck. You do have a great idea, okay? But you're not giving yourself permission to go to the next step. So give yourself that permission.
And don't get stuck on the how. You know what we do? We put the how on hold. You don't have to know how this podcast is going to progress.
Right.
When Vicki and I started this, it was just, we have an idea. We're badass BFFs. We are not afraid to share the truth, real, raw truth. Yes. And I think that, and you know me, I wrote a book and I'm very vulnerable in my book. So I think that the audience can relate more to vulnerability.
Absolutely.
And relate more to the wisdom and the truth, that most people don't want to share because they're worried about what are they going to think? Oh my God, I said shit. Holy
beep. Let's go on with that one. No, but it is good stuff. And I think that is it. It's all about, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to get moving on it. And I think that is another thing though about vulnerability is you do have to allow yourself to be vulnerable because that's where the good stuff comes in.
Ooh, and Vicki had an aha moment last night. I'm really excited for some episodes to come because
it is getting vulnerable, but it's also your vulnerability and your experience that you went through, believe it or not, will actually help somebody else in the long run not have to go through that. Or learn from it and then maybe have a different perspective of how to deal with that situation in the future.
Amen.
It's interesting. It's going to get good.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So what is something that you started even though you weren't ready?
Yep.
It was messy.
Yep.
And maybe you didn't know how.
Okay.
But you just started.
So this will be coming to fruition again under a different label. Let's just put it that way. So I started a online company before it was cool to do the whole affiliate marketing type thing, if that makes sense. So we started a online apparel and accessory company for lady gun enthusiasts and for those people who like those types of females.
She said gun, like shooting, boom, boom, boom.
Yes. So what was great about it is how it all started is my son wanted to go hunting with one of his buddies and I was a single parent. I'm like, I can't let my kid go out in the woods with a gun and not know what he's going to be experiencing. So I then went through the whole challenge of learning what a gun is, how do you clean it, what is it used for, and then to help my son learn the safety of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that spurred that little universe tapping you on the shoulder, well, all the stuff out there is kind of ugly, and girls like this stuff too. And we want to be pretty at it, or we want to look nice, or we want to do this. So talking to my buddy, we decided, hey, let's see what we can do. Let's start a web company where people can purchase this. And then, so we learned how to establish a website. We learned how to add e-commerce, which was very interesting. And then you have to go through the logistics of the inventory, what sells, what doesn't, shipment. But we did it, and look at how advanced we were after that. So that is my story of, get off your butt and try something, even though you have no knowledge of it.
And it's the coolest thing. When I first met her back in 2015, she was like, yeah, I'm a lady gun enthusiast and I have a lady gun apparel company, pistols and pumps. And I was like, OMG, you are too cool.
Yeah. So it will actually be relaunched under concealedlady.com. It's coming soon, so we'll keep you informed on that, Lou. But it's awesome. Chicks want to look cool too.
Yeah, and it's super cool. So for me, I think it was I wanted to write a book. I wanted to become a published author.
Okay.
And this was back in 2018. I was driving to a job that we actually worked together in Matthews, North Carolina.
And hated the traffic.
The traffic was crazy. I-485, which is the outer belt of Charlotte. If any of the Charlottinians or whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. I was like, okay, either I'm going to kill somebody in traffic, I'm going to quit my job, or something has got to change. So I downloaded Audible.
Right.
And that year, I think I listened to like 30 books on Audible just in my drive to and from work.
Wow.
Which really inspired me and empowered me. And one of the books that I listened to was actually by I don't know how to say her last name, Sicario, and it's You Are a Badass. So this is actually the button. Vicki got me the button, the badass button.
She's a badass.
Do what you love.
Oh, nice one that it picked it up on.
Perfect. So the other book was by Gabrielle Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back. Okay. And when I listened to Gabrielle Bernstein, I started following her and I was like, oh my God, I want to be an author. I want to do this. Like, I have a story. I have lots of stories to tell. And I have a system that I can teach people. And I really wanted to share my stories and share my truth so that I could help other people come from darkness into a better place in their life.
Absolutely.
And like transform their life. So I didn't know how to start writing a book. So I'm just like a journaler. And so Vicki would buy me a new book every year for like Christmas. So
and she'd
bought,
fill it.
I would fill it every year. I have books upon books of just my brain on words. And anyway, so I started writing. And I had no structure.
Okay.
I had no system. I just started writing. And then it was like, okay, now I need to pull this into like chapters and I need to create an outline. So what I'm trying to say is I started writing without knowing what the hell I was doing.
Right.
I just
put it on
started.
paper.
Yeah. And then I pieced it together like a puzzle. And then I looked at, you have to, people look at it as like this, okay, I want to write a book, but it's too big. I don't know how, so they don't do it.
Right.
Right. And what we're trying to say is just start writing the first chapter, or start writing the outline, or start looking into publishers, because I looked into publishers and I got scared away because there's so many different packages. You can pay a shit ton of money for, nothing or something. So I ended up self-publishing. Anybody, you guys can all do it. So don't allow the fear or the not knowing how to hold you back from.
But that is an example of I have an idea and you just got to start the imperfect way. But I do want to mention something on that. So like when you did release your book and you were out doing different campaigns on the trail, there were so many people that came up to you and said, oh my God, I wanted to write a book. Oh my God, I want to write a book.
Yes.
So like we all have a story to tell. And I think that is one of the, fantasies is to actually write a book of that story or whatever you're thinking of. So imperfect way, get started.
Yeah, get started. So what is it that you want to do? Maybe you've been wanting to start your own podcast. You don't know how. It's simple. You just get a studio, or if you don't have a studio, you can just get a webcam and start recording on Zoom. When I published my book back in 2022, I was on a podcast journey. So I was on over 75 podcasts from around the world. If you want to get on a podcast or you want to start a podcast, there's different softwares. One is called Podmatch. You pay $20 a month, and it's a platform that allows you to connect with podcast hosts, and the host can connect with guests. And so basically you upload your media, your biography, your podcast questions, etc., to this website, and then you can message the host and host can message guests, so you find people for your podcast. So where there is a will, there is a way.
And what's really funny is Carrie back in 2018, she, how there's so many content producers now on any app that you go onto, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Everybody's doing their own content. She had never went live, and I believe that that's where her fear was at. That was like that was her stopping block. She's like, okay, it's on my calendar, I'm gonna do it. She got in position for it, and she's like, I couldn't. My hair was messed up. I didn't have my makeup on. I messed up the word. I said a cuss word.
No, it was, I didn't have something behind me. So like, how we do this comparison, right? So you compare yourself to others, and other people who were doing these live videos were in a nice studio, or like they had like a picture behind them. So when I went to go live, I didn't have a picture behind me. So I literally stopped. I went and got in my car. I drove to At Home and I went to look for a picture to put behind me. So I'll tell you what this is. This is actually a paradigm.
Okay.
And we call these the 3Ds. And the first is distraction.
Okay.
Delay. It's a paradigm. It's trying to keep you safe. It's just a limiting belief that I need a picture behind me in order to go live and have people watch me. So it's distraction or delay.
Okay.
The second one is dissuasion. It's like, I've tried so hard, I'm not getting the results, so I guess maybe I'm just not meant to do this. And so then you give up, right? So that's dissuasion. The third D is called DEFCON. And this is where you actually have physical symptoms like your heart's beating out of your chest.
Oh, wow. Physical symptoms.
You can't breathe. You run out of saliva. Like if you go, if you are going to do public speaking, like I used to be terrified to do public speaking. And like, I would like literally feel like I was having an anxiety attack and I was going to die. Like I'm going to die.
Help me.
So those are the 3Ds, but guess what? This is the good news, guys, because that shows that you are on your green growing edge and you're trying to do something different that's going to force you to grow. So the key is just start. Just do it. Do it afraid. Do it messy.
Do it imperfect.
Do it imperfect.
That's exactly what it is. I love it. So, you know, some things out there that we'd love for you guys to post on this episode is, you know, what is it that you guys want to do? Maybe we can make a connection for you or maybe give you some helpful advice. We'd love to see what you're dreaming about or what you're wanting to do to get out of the routine, to get out of the normalcy and to actually start living your life, because that's truly what it's about.
Yeah. And I remember when I lived in Sharon, Pennsylvania, and I used to say, when I graduate high school, I'm going to move to Las Vegas, or when I graduate college, I'm going to move to Las Vegas and run a casino. That was my dream.
Okay.
Well, that didn't happen. And so
do you have casinos in PA or did you?
No.
Okay. How did you learn about casinos?
I went to Vegas.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I drank grain with some friends and oh boy, had a great old time. Danced my ass off at the Palms on the rooftop.
This
all
is
by
what
myself.
happens when we get into conversations. We go off track. But okay, go back. I'm sorry.
So we're a little ADD. I know I am. So what was I saying?
You were talking about you wanted to go to start a casino and run a casino. That was your goal.
So the goal was to get out of Sharon, Pennsylvania, because if you know anything, it's gray there most of the time. We get less than 40 days of sunshine a year. Okay. And it snows for 6 months. So I used to say, I feel like I'm hibernating for half of my life and I cannot do
You
this.
probably were.
So it got to the point when, you know, I shared this story. I lost my father unexpectedly to pneumonia. And that was like a wake up call in my life. And that is when I said, I'm done. I got to get the F out of here. Okay.
And she did.
So I, again, in my little journals, I wrote a list. I'm moving to North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, or Texas. Those were my 5 states I was moving.
Okay.
And so I just started. What did I do? I started applying to jobs in those 5 states.
Okay.
I went on a job interview to Peachtree City, Georgia, I think. I went on a job interview to Greensboro, North Carolina. Finally got a job offer from a company in Greensboro. And that's when I went to my boss and I said, listen, I'm going to move. Like either you transfer me, relocate me, or I am going to find another job. And 2 days later, he called me and said, I got you an interview with the general manager. You're flying to Charlotte. And I was like, hell yeah, because that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in Charlotte. Now I knew nobody.
Right.
Okay, so you guys listen. I literally uprooted me and my son. I was a single mom. My son was 8 years old. My company, thank God, paid my relocation. So they loaded a 53-foot tractor trailer with all of my stuff. I worked my mom into the relocation deal.
Good job. That's good negotiating skills, by the way.
I know, right? And so they literally, we drove to TK, South Carolina, and you were my first friend I met.
I was your first person. Well, besides the realtor that showed you the house.
True.
in
Yeah,
TK,
you're right.
I was the first person.
And we really believe the stars were aligned. And I also think that if you take that imperfect action, if you just start and if it is the right path for you, opportunities will come out of nowhere.
Yep.
Doors will open up and you will be met with like such an expansive result.
Yes, absolutely.
An outcome that you're just like, okay, thank you, God. I appreciate you working in my favor, but be grateful that you took that action step, because without that action, you'd still be stuck and I'd still be in Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, in the 40 days of cloudiness.
It was just snowing there last week. Like literally, it still snows in May.
Well, I think hopefully this inspires you all to like get up and do something, to start living your life, not just exist in your life, because that's really what we're supposed to be doing here. And in the meantime, while you're doing that, imagine the people that you're going to change. Imagine the lives that whatever product or whatever thing it is that you're wanting to do, and take the first step on, do it imperfectly, start it. That's what we said. We want to say yes. I say yes, I'm going to do this today.
Say yes. 5 countdown. If you have that idea, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get your ass up, go make that phone call, go, start working on that project, Google how to do something, start a Word document, start writing your first chapter. Yep. Or your agenda, or, I am so blessed to live in the Carolinas and get to wear flip-flops year-round. Mm-hmm. And shorts in the wintertime. Like, thank God I started and I didn't give up on my dream to live south. And that's where I met my future husband.
She did. So be fearless, okay? Be brave, be a badass, and do something for yourself today. Just start something. You'll thank yourself tomorrow, trust me. All right, if you like this today, don't forget to
smash that subscribe button.
Smash the subscribe button. Share it with a friend, and make sure you join us back here for the next episode. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks for hanging out with us on Fearless and Unfiltered. If you laughed, learned, or loved it, smash that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend, and be sure to join us for the next real, raw, and fearless conversation.
Remember, life's too short to play small, so stay fearless, stay unfiltered, and keep showing up with your badass self.